put my first batch in. I'm baking bagels, by the way, if you're wondering. If you're new to the stream. So I just put my first batch into my plenty of water. Now I'm just getting my boards wet and ready for the oven. Waiting for my bagels to boil or cook. They're cooking over here. So I see my first bagels popped up. So there's two up now. hamlet towns in Brunswick, my famous Hanover city. The river Weser, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you've never spied. When begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats, and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats, and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests in the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last, people in a body to the town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor is a naughty." I'm making bagels this morning. I'm making bagels and reciting poetry. I'm just going to take my first batch out of the pot here. There we go, our first batch. No, it's not too terribly hard. It takes a little while to acquire the skill and knowledge to be able to do it. But once you know how to do it, it's like riding a bicycle. It's mostly just time consuming and labor intensive. I work, today I'm going to work 8.5 hour shift, but sometimes I'll work 10-hour shifts. So yeah, sometimes the hours are varied. Early morning production, you have to be willing to wake up early in the morning. I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning, 2 a.m. So it's a lifestyle. You have to be able to tolerate early mornings, varied schedule, hard work. So I'm not able to read your comments from here. I'll have to read them after. I'm just gonna put this batch into the oven here, and then I'll catch up on the comments in a moment. There's our first batch in the oven. No, I don't personally own the business. I'm one of their veteran employees, though. I've been working with the company since 2014. The company, we're called Rosemary Rock Salt, and it was founded by two other people. But I'm one of the bakers here. So I've been doing this for almost 5 years, more than 5 years now. I started in 2014, and I took a short 6-month break. I like to call it my poor man's vacation. And I define a poor man's vacation as quitting one job for another that has fewer responsibilities and less pressure. That's a poor man's vacation. So I took a short sabbatical from this job, and but I came back because I liked it. I missed it. So I've been doing it for close to 5 years. So I put them in the pot. They're frozen when I put them in the pot. So if they weren't frozen, they would be a little bit shorter in the pot. But anyways, we use frozen bagels because we don't have a commissary. Like we don't. All our bagel production is at a central location, a commissary. So I put 32 bagels into the pot. I let them, they cook for about 5 to 7 minutes. I've never, has this been my dream job? Not really, but it was, it's a means to an end. I really enjoy this job, but I have other career aspirations. But this job has been great. It's allowed me to have a lot of free time to like pursue other things, and I'm a musician, and I like reading and poetry and stuff like that. My career aspiration is to become a teacher, or I know I have a lot of different career aspirations. I don't know. It's hard to settle on one. But I've settled on this one for the time being. This has been a really fantastic career for. I don't know. I don't have any plans to quit anytime soon. So. Yeah, no, we're Canadian. This location's in North Vancouver. I live in Vancouver though, but I commute to this location because it's pretty close. These are Canadian style bagels, Montreal style bagels. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for. So I don't stream every day. So I do work. I work 5 days a week, but I don't always stream every day. I have my own. I don't know. So I just don't feel like it sometimes. So I guess it just comes down to my own feelings, my own whim. I also sometimes stream on Periscope, but I find this audience is I enjoy Twitch audiences more. It's currently 4:10 a.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. It's 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here, Vancouver, Australia. Nice. I've never visited Australia, but I would love to. So one day I will. Hopefully. Still not rich enough to afford a vacation to Australia. Maybe I should plan one next year though. I think this year I'm gonna do a local vacation. So I'm gonna do local. I mean like Montreal or something like that. A Canadian vacation. That's what I'm gonna do this year. I'm going to visit my parents in Alberta in a week. So that's my next vacation. But after that, I want to visit Montreal and eat the real deal, the real Montreal bagel. Yeah, Melbourne. Yeah, for sure. I'd love to. We had a girl that worked here, and she was from Australia. Where did she live though? I think it was close to Melbourne, but I don't remember now. We also had a Kiwi. We had a Kiwi work here. I remember she worked here like right when I first started. But then she went back to New Zealand, so. Goodbye. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever visit well, I shouldn't say that. I'm not eager to go to a Middle Eastern country right now. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like a very safe place to go. I might go to Qatar or Morocco or something like that. But I don't think I would visit anywhere else really. No, not a prejudice, just don't feel very safe going to that part of the world right now. Oh, forget. Oh, nothing to do? Okay. I don't know, I don't think I really want to go to any countries that aren't democratic. Sort of leave my travel itinerary to democracies right now. really like to visit Brazil. Brazil, love to visit that grand old country. Where else? I'm currently doing an online course for teaching English as a foreign language, and or teaching English for foreign learners, I should say. So, and Brazil is one of the places I'd like to teach. Let's see. Oh, I dropped one. Slipped out of my hand. I'd love to go to Egypt, but it doesn't seem like it's a very stable place right now. Yeah, Brazil. Oh, Brazil, yeah. Oh, nice. Safer than the US, yeah. I know, yeah. The US isn't particularly a very safe place, but. Oh yeah, pickpockets. Yeah, I've heard Brazil's bad for that. I went to Mexico. I got pickpocketed in Mexico when I went there in 2000, way back in 2006. But I was being a stupid drunk tourist, and I had a brand new digital camera because this was before iPhones and stuff like that. So you had to buy a digital camera back then to get digital photos. So I bought this brand new digital camera, like a nice Canon, and I had it in my pocket, and I had the strap hanging out of my pocket, and somebody pickpocketed me on the street in Puerto Vallarta. Yeah, and don't get, the other thing is don't get drunk and act stupid. That I learned that from experience. But I love Mexico. I've been to Mexico a couple times, and I would totally live in Mexico if I could. It's funny. I'll go to. I want to live in Mexico, but I won't go to the Middle East. Mexico's probably more dangerous than the Middle East right now. In some ways, well, in some ways. Oh, nice. Yeah, I'd like to. I have a university degree, and I'm just taking the online course through the University of Toronto. I'm almost finished it. I just need to do the final assessment, final couple modules. So. I speak English as a first language, but I'm learning. I'm doing the course so that I can teach English for foreign learners. So I can teach English to foreign learners, I should say. Yeah. So no, I only speak one language. It's English. So. But yeah, so I'm taking the course so that I can so I have the classroom knowledge in order, the knowledge about, like, I had to learn about grammar and that kind of stuff, English grammar. It was all stuff I already knew, but like it was just sort of a review course or whatever. Oh yeah. Like nowadays, it's a lot easier to learn a second language. Like you can, if you have the determination, you can learn a second language on your own, just by like watching Twitch streamers, for instance, that are speaking different languages, or watching YouTube videos, or there's a lot of ways to learn a second language nowadays. Or if you have, you can do it through an app or whatever, right? Like there's so many ways. I think it's nice to have classroom instruction though. It's a good way to learn. I think it's one of the best ways to learn is in a classroom. Nice. Russian. I don't know much about Russia. I like reading Dostoevsky though. I've read the Brothers Karamazov and Crime and Punishment. I share Jordan Peterson's love of Dostoevsky. I watched that Jordan Peterson and Slavoj Žižek debate, or what, like Marxism against capitalism. It was almost like the UFC of philosophy. It was sort of insane, but yeah, I have my criticisms of that debate. I don't think it was a very good debate. I really liked what Jordan Peterson was pretty good. Slavoj Žižek was awful though, but I don't think it was Slavoj Žižek's fault. He's not really a good Marxist. Hold up, he's not a good example of a Marxist. He says he's a Marxist, but I don't think he's the best. There would have been better people to debate Jordan Peterson than Slavoj Žižek. The only reason they got Slavoj was because he's as popular as Jordan Peterson is on YouTube. So I don't think it was a very good. I don't think it was a very good matchup. Slavoj Žižek sometimes can be sort of incoherent. I get more out of Slavoj Žižek out of reading his books than listening to him talk, because he just sort of, if you ever watch his YouTube videos and stuff, he really repeats himself over and over again. He tells the same stories, same jokes, same things over and over again. His originality is in his writing, and so I really admire Slavoj Žižek's writing, but he's not much of a public speaker, in my opinion. I mean, he's a decent public speaker. I mean, it takes a lot of it takes some skill and experience in order to do just the bare minimum of public speaking. So I mean, he's decent, but I think he sort of lost his edge and his old age in this. I don't want to sound like an ageist or anything, but anyways, I think that there would have been a better there's better Marxists out there, there's better socialists out there, and they could have given a better, more cogent response to Jordan Peterson's defense of capitalism. The problem I have with Jordan Peterson is the way he defends things is he always ignores the opposite. Like, for instance, he goes into detail about communist atrocities, and I don't deny that communism has its atrocities. Certainly, Stalin committed some pretty horrific crimes against humanity. But capitalism is not free of those sins, of its own sins, right? Like, capitalism has plenty of dirt on its blood on its hands. For instance, slavery is one of the really dark legacies of capitalism. So I don't think that there wasn't a very good response to Jordan Peterson. It should have been Natalie Wynn from ContraPoints against Jordan Peterson. She would have annihilated Jordan Peterson. Because she's done it in her YouTube videos. Yeah, Terry Eagleton. Yeah, see, like, if it would have been Terry Eagleton and Jordan Peterson, that would have made more sense. Or there's a guy that's on YouTube. His name's Dick Wolf, I think. Professor Wolf. I think Tom Wolf. No, Tom Wolf's somebody else. Yeah, I think anybody could have. There would have been so many different. There's so many Marxists out there that could have argued would have had a better argument against Jordan Peterson. Slavoj is more of a psychoanalyst. I just think that Jordan Peterson ignores capitalism's atrocities, and some of capitalism atrocities are slavery, the industrialization of slavery, the fact that climate change, we're not doing anything about climate change right now. You know, it has a large part. Capitalism has a large role to play in that. The fact that we're not making we're doing very little to preserve our survival, our survivability as a species. So like, I think just Jordan Peterson ignores the big problems that capitalism has, while really focusing on the problem, the historical atrocities of capitalism or of communism, things that happened last century, right? But yeah, they were awful. I don't deny that they should be things that we should highlight and say that this is what went wrong. But I don't think capitalism is it's not exonerated just because capitalism or just because communism is bad, right? Right? Capitalism isn't exonerated just because communism is bad, is what I should say. Yeah, that's the thing, like, Zizek is a Lacanian, and Lacanians don't make a lot of sense. So, like, talking to Jordan Peterson wasn't a good, he actually, it was a good foil for, like, he was sort of like the incomprehensible opposite. Like, Jordan Peterson made lots of sense, and Slavoj Žižek is this sort of rambling, mindless foil. Like, it was just, I don't know, I think it was a bad debate. Yeah, like, yeah, see, like the theoretical Marxism is a lot different than political Marxism. So, like, it always comes down to the theory-practice difference, right? Like, in theory, Marxism looks great. In practice, it's always turned out horrific, right? But which I think has been an undeniable truth, and Jordan Peterson is right to point out that reality that whenever we've dabbled in the experiment of communist societies, it's usually always turned out pretty badly. So I can't think of any example that's not, well, I mean, China maybe, but and that's the thing, that was Slavoj Žižek's big Like that was his big, like his thesis against Jordan Peterson. And he was like, well, look at China. China's a communist society. Look how great they're doing. But that's not a very, I don't think that's a very honest argument, because China's not really a real communist country. It's a communist. It might be politically communist, but it's definitely not an economically communist. Yeah, I agree to that to a certain extent, but I mean they've also lifted a lot of their people out of poverty too, right? So, I'll be back in a second here. Take my first batch out. First batch. So catch up on this comments here. Gonna recite some poetry. I'm gonna recite some poetry just for the heck of it. This is the Pied Piper of Hamlin. Hamlin, towns in Brunswick, my famous Hanover city. The river Western, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you've never spied. But when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. Alas, the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor is a naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking, to think we buy gowns lined with ermine, for adults who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in the furry civic roads thieves. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, to find the remedy we are lacking, for sure as fate will send you packing." At this, the mayor and corporation quaked with mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. "For a gilder-eyed Myron McGowan I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bend one rack one's brain. I'm sure my forehead aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap." This he said was the tap at the chamber door, but a gentle tap. "Bless us," cried the mayor, "what's that?" With the corporation as he sat, looking little through wondrous fat. Nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister, than the too long opened oyster, save when it knew his paunch with weakness, for a plate of turtle gravy weakness. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat, anything like the sound of harassment, my heart will pit a pat. "Come in," cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes, each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin. The lips or smile went out and in. There was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, "It's as my great-grandsire, starting up with the chunk of human tone, had walked this way with a painted tombstone." Advanced towards the council table. "Please, Your Honor," said he, "I am able, by means of secret charm to draw, all the creatures living beneath the sun, that crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, mole and toad, newt and viper. People call me the Pied Piper." And here they notice round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe, to match with his self-same check. And that scarf then have a pipe. His fingers they notice were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture, so fangled. "Yes," said he, "Pied Piper as I am, in Tartaria I fled to Cam, last June from his huge swarms of naps. I eased in Asia than I am, of a monstrous brood of vampire bats, And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders? 50,000 was the exclamation of an astonished bear corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in the quiet pipe a while. Like a musical adept to blow his pipe, his lips he wrinkled. In green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes of pipe uttered, you heard as if an army muttered. The muttering grew to a grumbling, the grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling. Great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, gray rats, tawny rats, grave old plotters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the pipe before their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river westward, wherein all plunged and perished, save one who stumped Julius Caesar, son of God who lived to carry, as he the man whose script he cherished, to that land home his commentary, which was, at first shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as a scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous ripe, into the cider presses bright, and moving away to built out boards, leaving a jar of concert covered, drawing the corks of train all flasked, break noobs of butter cast, and seemed as if a voice sweeter far than my heart or my soul is breathed, called out, oh rats, rejoice, the world has grown to a vast isolatory, so munch on, crunch on, take your nunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just the bulky sugar punch on, already staved like a great sun shone, gracious scarce an inch before me, just methought it said come pour me, I found the west rolling over me. You should have heard the Hamlin people ring the bells, they rock the steeple. Go, cried the mayor, get long poles, poke out the nest and block up the hole. Consult with carpenters and builders, leave our town not even a trace of the rats. One suddenly up the face, the piper perked in the marketplace. The first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders, the mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too. For council dinners may wear havoc with claret, will sell vinny to Graf Hawk, and half the money would replenish their seller's biggest butt of Rhenish, to pay this sum to a wondering fellow, with gypsy coats red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor the knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes vermin sink. What's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friends, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink, and a matter of money to put in your poke. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, was a joke. Besides, the loss that made us thrifty, 1,000 guilders, come take 50. The piper's face fell and he cried, no trifling, I can't wait beside. I promised to visit by dinner time Baghdad, except the prime of the head cook's potage. All he's rich in, having left in the Caleb's kitchen, of a nest of scorpions no survivor. With him I proved no bargain driver. With you don't think I'll bait a stiver. And folks who put me in a passion, they find me pipe after another fashion. How, cried the mayor, to think I broke, being worse treated than a cook, insulted by a rival, with idle pipe and vesture pliable. Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe with smooth straight cane. And ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as yet musicians cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like a bustling of merry crowds justling and pitching and hustling, small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, little tongues chattering, like foals in the farmer's barley scattering. Oh, came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, chirping and skipping there merrily after. The wonderful music was shouting with laughter. The mayor was dumb, and the council stood as if they were chained with blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, to the children merrily skipping by, could only follow with an eye that joyous crowd of the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosom was beat as the piper turned from the high street to where the western rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. How he turned from south to west, to Copperberg Hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed. Great was the joy in every breast. He never tossed the mighty top, his voice let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. When lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide. As if a cavern was suddenly hollowed, the piper advanced and the children followed. When all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No, one was lame. He did not dance a whole way. But in after years, if you blame the sadness you used to say, it is dull in our towns as my playmates left. I can't predict that I'm bereft. Of all the pleasant sights they see, which the piper also promised me. Before he led us, he said to a joyous land, joining the town just at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, flowers and forth a fairer hue, and everything was strange to do. The sparrow was wearing a peacock here, and her dogs that ran a fellow deer, and honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, why lean towards the appeared. The music stopped, and I stood still, found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go around limping as before, and never fear that touched me more. Alas, alas, for Hamlin, there came into many a murderous pig, a text which says in heaven's gate, hopes the rich at his each rate, as the needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor said east, west, north, and south, to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever his men flocked to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw it was lost and never, and piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year, these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, the better memory affixed, the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing piper tabor was sure for his future lose his labor, where suffered they hostel or tavern, shot with mirth a street so solemn, and opposite the place of the cavern, there wrote the story on a column, and on great church window painted, the same would make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And it must not admit to say, the Transylvanian there is a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way and dress of which their neighbors lay such stress to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison, into which they were Japan, a long time ago in a mighty band, out of Hamlin towns in Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be wipers, scores out with all men, especially pipers, and if they should pipe us free from rats or from mice, if we promise them aught, let us keep our promise. That was Pied Piper of Hamlin by Robert Browning. Robert. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that somebody enjoys them. I think poetry is very important, and one way to make it accessible to people is to make it so that they don't have to read it themselves. And so I'm happy to do that for them. I know a lot of people don't have time to read poetry, or care to read poetry, or understand that it's important to read poetry. All of the above. But personally, I think poetry is one of the ways to know some of the most profound truths, or I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's a great way to tell a story, for one thing. Poetry is just great. I love poetry. Oh, I need some water. I'm a little dehydrated right now. Let me do that. I'm gonna rehydrate myself. tell you a story. This is the story of Roland Pide and the Oven Blade. There was once a young man named Roland Pide who played the recorder when he wasn't baking bagels. One day he was walking through a park playing his recorder to rest a while from all his baking, when suddenly he spied a corpse lying on the ground beneath a swarm of flies. He put down his recorder, walked over to the corpse, shooed the flies away, and covered the dead man with stones. Returning to his oven later that day, he found that his oven blade had gone on by itself and already baked half the bagels he needed. From that day on, Roland Pide was the happiest baker alive. He'd bake until he was tired, then he'd pull his recorder out of his pocket while his oven blade went on by itself. But Roland Pide lived in a town whose mayor did not admire his skill and was jealous of his fame. So the mayor devised a plan to rid the town of Roland. In the beginning, he said that Roland was a good worker, but lazy. Next, he said that Roland baked a whole lot, but badly. Then he accused Roland of being a sorcerer, and the people turned on him. Therefore, Roland Pide took his recorder and left his home behind. When Roland Pide came to a neighboring town, he went to all the business owners, but none of them would give him any work. Finally, he met an old busker and asked him for work to keep body and mind together. "Come along with me," said the old man. "We will share all of this." So Roland Pide and the old man started going around and singing. "Baker, why do you bear those silent things? Baker, how did you forget to stand where your feet are? Baker, no woman loves your well, although it is golden and good for her health. Baker, you are too dirty for a lover to wish to clean. Your limbs are not the cords of an old-fashioned machine. Baker, line the rings and bash the boards. You don't need their applause for a thing that is yours. You are a baker and are what you are, not by a miracle, but by the work of your arms. Baker, be who you are." Everybody gave alms to the old man, but to Roland they said, "What is a young man like you out begging? Why don't you work for a living?" "Nobody will hire me," replied Roland Pide. "That's what you say. There is a king with so many hungry soldiers that he'll pay good wages to anyone willing to feed them." So Roland Pide went to the king's kitchen, took the old man whose alms he'd been sharing. The oven had never been used by anyone. Roland mixed the dough, then he rolled it into rings, then he boiled them, dressed them with seeds, and baked them until they're golden brown. Then he tossed them into a crate to cool down. Whenever Roland wearied of baking, he'd play his recorder. And once he was weary of playing his recorder, he would sing, "Baker, why do you bear those silent things? Baker, how did you forget to stand where your feet are? Baker, no woman loves your wealth, although it is golden and good for her health. Baker, you are too dirty for a lover to wish to preen. Your limbs are the knots and cords of an old-fashioned machine. Baker, line the rings and bash the boards. You don't need their applause to think that is yours. You are a baker and are what you are, not by a miracle, but by the work of your arms. Baker, be who you are." Hearing the singing, a princess looked out the window. She saw Roland Pide and fell in love with him. But she was a princess and he a baker. The king would never consent to their marriage. So they decided to run away together. They fled at night in a boat. When they were already on the high seas, Roland remembered the busker. He said to his beloved, "We must fetch the old man, since he shared his alms with me. We can't go off and leave him like that." At that very moment, the old man came up behind the boat, walking on the water as though it had been dry land. Reaching the boat, he said, "We agreed to divide everything we had, and I shared everything I own. Now you have the king's daughter. You must give half of her to me." At this he gave Roland Pide a knife to cut his bride in two. Roland Pide took the knife with a trembling hand. You are right, he said. You are perfectly right. He was on the point of cutting his bride in two when suddenly the old man stopped him. Stop! I knew you were a just man. I am the dead man, mind you, whom you covered with stones. Go now, and may the two of you always be happy. The old man walked away on the waves. The boat came to an island rich in all good things, with a princely palace awaiting the newlyweds. The end. I was rolling pied in the oven blade. That story is based on an Italian folk tale. Hello, Gio Moya 1. Gio Moya 1. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the accolade. Accolade. The baking's going fantastic. It's going fantastically well. I'm a little bit behind, actually. Should be a little bit further ahead in my baking. I've only baked 2 batches. I got 3 in the oven, 2 in the crate, 1 in the pot. I work for a company called Rosemary Rock Salt. We're located in, this store is located in North Vancouver. But we have several other locations throughout the Lower Mainland. This is the original store though. The original Mary. Rosemary Rock Salt is what we're called. I've been working for this company for more than 5 years now. So I'm their most veteran baker. I think most bakers here last about 2 years. This job is sort of a transitional job for some people. I suppose it's a transitional job for me as well. I'm furthering my education. I'm aspiring to become a teacher. So that is what I do in my free time. Canada's a beautiful place. There's lots of places to visit here. Vancouver is one of the more interesting cities. I'm sure it doesn't compare to places like Shanghai or Tokyo, or it's not like nearly as big as those places, but I don't know. It's a nice place to come if you like outdoor activities. If you like experiencing beautiful environments. Right now I'm doing teaching for foreign learners, teaching English for foreign learners. So that's what I'm doing right now. But eventually, I'd like to teach English poetry, literature, especially specialization in children's literature. Or Victorian literature. Maybe Victorian's children literature, I don't know. My undergraduate degree is Communications Culture, Bachelor of Communication and Culture, the double minor in English and art. So those are my interests. I'd like to teach English and art. Would be my main subjects, I guess. Almost anything humanities related is interesting to me. And so I like science too, but I'm not an educated scientist or anything like that. I try to read about science and stay informed about science though. So. But I wouldn't be one to teach science. At my current level of knowledge, I guess I should say. think I'm going to shut down the stream a little bit early this morning. Maybe. Yeah, I'd like to, I think my preferred destination, I'd like to visit Japan. But I'd like to also go to South America, so Brazil or Central America, Brazil or Mexico. I know those aren't like the best places. Like Brazil, I think is a pretty good place to go for teachers, but I'm not sure about Mexico. I want to learn. Well, I know Brazil is Portuguese, but I want to learn Spanish. So I'd like to go either to just about any Spanish-speaking majority country. It's where I'd like to teach English. So, but yeah, Japan would be a nice place to go too. Yeah, I used to write poetry more frequently. Now I just, I don't write as much on my own. I'm sort of like, I feel like I'm in a phase of my life where I just need to study poetry rather than write it. So I'm studying poetry and learning about poetry. And maybe I'll start writing it once I've become a little bit better at interpreting and reading and reciting it. I think a lot of my poetry written in my youth was sort of naive and not very literary. That's what I admire most now. Is like I'm sort of focused on like learning poetry and like memorizing poetry. Becoming a poet. A true poet.
Hello. I unfortunately don't. I didn't. I unfortunately don't write as often or as much as I should. Yeah, this is a bakery. Yeah. It's called Rosemary Rock Salt. We make bagels. Some bagels right there. We're not in the UK. We're actually, this is Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I wish we were in Britain. That'd be pretty sweet. I'm a Canadian. We're located in North Vancouver. This store here is in North Vancouver. But we also have another location we have 2 locations on the North Shore. And we have another 2 in Vancouver. And we also have another in Richmond and another in Surrey. Oh, that's a long comment. Let me read your comment in a moment. Let me finish this. I'm going to tell another story, and then I'm going to close the broadcast. This one is called The Science of Laziness. There was once a rich man who had just one son, and the boy was dearly loved by his father. As everybody knows, the greatest scourge on earth for a rich man is work. Therefore, when his son turned 14, the father decided to send him to school to learn the science of laziness. On the same street as the rich man, there lived a famous and highly respected professor who had never done a lick of work in his life he could get out of doing. The rich man called on him and found him stretched out in a garden beneath a fig tree, with a cushion under his head, a cushion under his back, and a cushion under his buttocks. Before talking to him, I must first see how he does, said the rich man to himself, and he hid behind a hedge to observe the man. The professor lay as still as a corpse, with his eyes closed. The only time he stirred was whenever he heard the thud of a ripe fig falling on the ground near where he lay. He'd reach slowly out, bring the fruit to his mouth, and swallow it. Then he wouldn't stir again until another fig fell. This is just what the professor my son needs, decided the rich man. And he came out from his hiding place, introduced himself, and asked the professor if he would teach his son the science of laziness. Old man, answered the professor just above a whisper, don't talk so much. It tires me to listen to you. If you want to bring your son up as you and I are, just send him to me. So the rich man went home, took his son by the hand, thrust a feathered pillow under his arm, and led him to the garden. I urge you, he told him, to do all you see this professor of idleness do. The boy, who already had inclination for that particular science, also stretched out under the fig tree. Observing his teacher, he saw him reach for every fig that fell and bring it to his mouth. Why should I work myself to death reaching for figs, he thought. And he opened his mouth wide open. Soon a fig fell into his mouth. He let it go down slowly. Then he reopened his mouth. Another fig fell. This time it missed. He lay there perfectly still and murmured, Fig, why so wide of the mark, falling to my mouth? Seeing how wise his pupil already was, the professor said, Go on now. You have nothing to learn from me. You can even teach me something. So the boy went home to his father, who thanked heaven for having given him such a smart son. That was Science of Laziness. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm gonna close the broadcast because Starbucks is open, and also I need to do some serious baking. I've sort of fallen behind, so. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Hopefully, or no, I won't be back tomorrow morning. Because I'm baking a later shift tomorrow. I'm actually not getting up at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Actually, maybe I'll do another poem. I'm not going to go to Starbucks right away. I already had a bit of coffee. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for your positive comments today. I really enjoyed the comments you shared with me today. Everybody. It's nice to see positive chat, positivity in chat. Sometimes chat can be a little bit. Actually, Twitch chat is pretty good. It's the Periscope chat that can be pretty toxic. That's Twitter though. Twitter's pretty much a cesspool right now. I mean, look, like it's Trump's go-to megaphone, right? Like you can't, anything Trump touches turns to trash. What a trashy dude. Yeah. It's sad. I like Twitter. I like, you know, really good tweets are could be quite poetic. They could be like haikus, right? Like, but yeah, good tweet. I love Twitter, but it's pretty rotten right now. It's pretty sad to see where. Actually, I mean, a lot of social media is pretty rotten. I shouldn't just single out Twitter, but so yeah, but Twitter can be pretty bad. I hope their efforts to clean it up have paid off somewhat. Oh, thank you. Thanks for watching. Oh, I'm gonna do another poem. I'm gonna do "Child Roll into Dark Arcane," just for the heck of it. I feel like doing it. I'm gonna go to Starbucks later. The sun is just coming up. Got a little bit of light in the sky. It's a little bit overcast here in Vancouver. Anyways, yeah, this is Child Roll into a Dark Arcane. I don't enjoy negativity for the sake of negativity. I like it when, like, you can be negative. Like, negativity is necessary to be critical of something, I think, right? So there's appropriate times to be negative. Like right now with climate change, I think that people that are protesting the political situation have it's just for them to feel a little bit to express a little bit of negativity about the situation, right? So I think negativity has its place, obviously. It's not Twitter chat or Twitch chat. That's not the place where negativity should show up unless it's necessary for it to be done. So I'm sort of procrastinating on the shutting down the screen here. Okay, I'm gonna do Child Roll into a Dark Arcane. My first thought was he lied in every word. That hoary cripple with malicious eye asks us to watch the working of his lie online, and most scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that personally scored its edge out one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be sent for with his staff? what saved the waylay with his lies instead. All travelers might find it posted there. And asked the road, I guess what stall like black would break, what Christ can write my epitaph for pastime in the dusty thoroughfare. If at its counsel I should turn aside to all his track, to all three hides in dark tower, yet acquiescently I did turn as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end his stride, so much as gladness some end my feet. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost I'll fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring my heart made, fighting failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, it feels begin and end the tears, it takes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath freely outside, since all is over, he saith, the blow fallen, no grieving can amend. While some discusseth near other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with caribou banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, it may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied so often being read, so many times among the band to wit. The nights through two dark towers search and dress their steps, the just to fail as they seem best, and all doubt was now should I be fit. So quiet as despair I turned from him, the hateful cripple, out of his highway into the path he pointed. All the day had been a dreary one at best, and dim was settling into its close, yet shot one grim red leer to see the plain catch its astray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, clenched the plain after a pace or two, then pausing for backward a last view, over the safe road 'twas gone, grey plain all round, nothing but plain to the horizon's bound. I must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went. I think I never saw such starved ignoble nature. Nothing throve, for flowers as well expect a cedar grove, but chortle and spurge according to their law, might propagate their kind with none to awe. You think a bird had been a treasure trove. No penury and dirtness increments, in some strange sort were the land's portion. See or close your eyes, said nature judiciously, in nothing skills, I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment's fire must cure this place, calcine its clods and set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mate's head was chopped, the bents were jealous elves, what made the holes and rents the dog's harsh horse thieves, bruises to claw, all hope of greenness, 'tis a brute must walk, passionate life over brutes intense. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair in leprosy. Thin, dry blades pricked the mud, which underneath was kneaded up with blood. One stiff, blind horse, as every bone was stared, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust no past servant into the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red gaunt calipic restrained, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart, as a man calls for wine before he fights. I asked one draft of earlier, happier sights. Ere faintly I can hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterwards, a soldier's art. One taste of old times, it's all to rights. Not it. I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold. Here followed, though I almost felt him full. An arm in mine fixed me to that place, that way he used. Alas, one night's disgrace, oh, at my heart through fire and left it cold. Giles then, the soul of honor, there he stands, frank as 10 years ago when knighted first. An honest man should dare, he said he durst. Good, but the scene shifts, thaw when hangman's hand, changing his breast of parchment. His own band reads it, poor traitor spit upon and cursed. Better this present than a past like that. Back therefore to my darkening path. No sound, no sight as far as the eye can strain. Will the night send a howling or a bat, I asked, when something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. A sudden river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent came. No tides congenial to the glooms. This as it frothed by might have been a bath of the fiend's glowing, who if to see the wrath of its black eddies be spat with flakes and spoons. So petty yet so spiteful, all along low scrubby alders kneeled over it, drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit of rout despair, a suicidal throng, the river which had done them all the wrong, whatever that was, rolled by, deterred no whit. Which while I forded, good saints, how I feared to set my foot upon a dead man's cheek, he each step or feel the spear I thrust to seek for hollows tangled in his hair or beard. It may have been a water rat I speared, but it sounded like a baby's shriek. Glad was I to reach the other bank, now for a better country, vain presage. Who were the strugglers? What war did they wage? Whose savage trample could thus pad the dank soil to a plash? Toads in a poison tank, or wild cats in a red-hot cage? The fight must so have seemed in that foul cirque. What penned them there with all the plain to choose? No footsteps leading through that horrid muse. None out of it, mad druids sent to work their brains, no doubt, like galley slaves to Turk Pittsburgh passed by Christians against Jews. And more than that, a furlong on, why there, what bad use was that engine for? That wheel or brake, not wheel. That barrel fit wheel men's bodies out like silk, with all the air of Tophet's duel. On earth that unaware brought the sharp beaks rusty teeth of steel. Then came from subground, once wood, next to Martian sea. Now mere earth, desperate and done with, so the fool finds mirth, makes a thing and mars it, till his mood changes and off he goes. Within a rude bog-plated marsh, sand and stark black dirt. Now blotches rank and colored king and grim. Now patches where some leanness in the soil broke through moss and substances like oils. Then came a palsio, a cleft in him, a distorted mouth that splits its rim, gaping at death and dies while it recoils. As far as ever from the end, not in the distance, but the evening knot, point my footsteps further at the thought. Great black bird, Apollyon's bosom friend, sailed past and beat its wide wings, drank a pen, and brushed my cap perchance the guide I sought. For looking up where I somehow grew, the plain had given place all round to mountains with such names and grace, mere heights and heaps now stolen in view. How less they surprised me solve at you, how to get from there was no clear case. Yet half I seemed to recognize some trick of mischief had happened to me, God knows when, in a bad dream perhaps. Here ended the progress his way, when in the very nick of giving up one more time came a click as when the trap ships are in the den. Burningly it came upon me all at once. This was the place, those two hills crouched like two bulls locked horn in fight, while to the left a tall scout mountain, dunce daughter to dozing at the very nuts after a lifetime of training for the sight. What in the midst lay but the tower itself, the round squat turret, blind as a fool's heart, built of brown stone without a counterpart in the whole world. The tempest mocking out points the ship and thus the unseen shelf. He strikes on only when timbers start. Not see, because of night perhaps, why day came back to that. Behind her left the dying sunset, kindled to her cleft. The hills like two giants in the hunting lay, chin upon hand to see the game at bay, now stabbing and the creature to the heft. Not here, because when noise was everywhere and told, increasing like a bell, names in my ears, of lost adventurers my peers, how such was strong, and such was fortunate, and such was bold, and such was fortunate, that each of old lost one moment now the woe of years. There they stood, ranged along the hillside met, to view the last of me, a living frame, for one more picture in a sheet of flame. I saw them and knew them all, and yet, dauntless a slughorn to my lips I set, and blue child roll into a dark tower came. That was Child Roll Into a Dark Tower Came, and that is the end of the stream. Thanks for watching. I'll probably be back on Friday morning. Yeah, thanks. See, yeah, that Cheeto 72 needs, yeah, that's true. There is hope. I know what you mean by hope there. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day.